So, on my Blender animation time-lapse, a lot of you have asked me to make tutorial about Blender and animating in Blender. Now, it wasn't something I was planning to do, but since it got like 10 questions about the same thing, I figured let's just do it. What the hell? So, hooray for peer pressure, I guess. So, now we're not going to go meticulously into every detail. I'm just going to basically share a few tips how to rig in Blender and how to set up an IK rig and pretty much the basics of animating, but I'm not going to go into much detail about animation, okay, since that has to do with other things. Now I have a model over here and I've already, as you can see, set up the rig. Now there's a lot of types of rigs and there are a lot of rigs that you can use on an armature, but as far as Unity is concerned, and by Unity I mean the humanoid retargeting Unity has, you basically need to have something like this. And basically for your limbs you have to do two-part bones, okay, foot and all that, doesn't pretty much matter, and for basically every limb, okay, it's separated by two bones. Usually, if you want to animate it and make it look good, you usually have the bones of the forearms, okay, you usually go and make them, add them. If you let me go find it, they will usually split it apart so that it can actually deform and all that. Now Unity does not like that, okay, so a rig that is pretty much has, as I said, two bones for every limb, two bones for the spine and one for the hips and neck and head, and the rest is pretty much the same. So let me open it. Let me open the names basically. Okay, you can have your names so you can see, although on the hand it's pretty much get a little bit counterintuitive. Okay, so as far as Unity is concerned, you need a rig that looks something like this so you can have the best retargeting possible. It's best to use the same rig from in between all your models so that you can know that you have animations that work with every model you have. Okay, so I'll close the names. As I said, one thing you can note with Unity is that the hips will be taken as the root bone, and in most humanoid retargetings you're going to do, it will either take the hips or you can actually have another bone, which that was basically a practice. Oops. You can have another bone, clear parent, and that looks a bit anyway, okay. They usually have another root bone on the feet of your rig, of your model. Now the only trick about that is if you have, and it's good practice sometimes, especially if you're going to animate and have your own IK rigs and all stuff, you basically want to have a root bone over here so that you can move your hips around and you know that you're always placing your root bone will always be at the same position, especially on some cases we're going to watch in a bit, not in a bit, in another video. Okay, so for now let's just delete this one since we're going to see it when we set up the IK rig. And now what we need to do is I have this one already rigged from the feet and all that. The head is also too now, and I've just unparented the upper torso, and I'm going to share a few tricks on how to easily rig the upper torso, since most of newcomers mostly have a lot of problems. Now, another thing that you need to keep in mind is where you actually place the bones. If you place basically, if I place the bones like this, that means all of this is going to come into the front, so you will get a lot of stretching over here. So placing the actual position of the bones pretty much matters a lot. There's a lot of cases that you will see that they do stuff with the actual topology over here, but in our case, since I know since I've rigged this one before, I know that the best place to start to place them is around over here, looking for particularly this model. As for the shoulders, I know that if I put my bones over here, targeting looking like this, when I rotate the hand, then it all falls naturally. Okay, it all collapses over here, so it looks like an actual shoulder. And I'm going to bring this back. Now, here's a few tricks. Most cases you will see that they will go and make parent, okay, which is Control P, and to actually make your model to parent under your armature, you need to select first your model, and then you need to select your rig with right click. Okay, then Control and P, and what you usually see, which is always a bad idea, is set parent with automatic weights. Okay, automatic weights are a thing of the devil. They never work quite right. So what I like to do, of course some people might like to do it differently, is assign set to parent with empty groups. So what that means is assigns to this mesh the vertex groups for all our rigs. So it takes every bone and creates a new vertex group for every bone we have. So the other way you usually see weight painted is when you actually do with empty bones, is to go select on your rig. You need to be on your pose mode, and on the mesh go and say weight paint, and then you can click auto normalize, although it's still going to be a bit of a problem. I'm going to set the weight to 0.5 and then start weight painting all the basically the vertices where I want for my spine bone to be affected at. Now, of course, this isn't really the best idea, and I find it to be counterintuitive, especially when you have to go into little bit things like that, like fingers and all that. So what I like to do, I'm going to go out of the weight paint mode, and I'm actually going to go into the edit mode, and we do not need this. So I have my bone, which is the spine. I'm going to find my spine into the vertex groups, and I'm going to click select, and the first spine, which is this one, it's not assigned, it doesn't return any because there is no vertex assigned, so that means it's this spine instead of being this spine. And probably it would have been better if I turn this into B-bones or octahedron. Okay, I like to keep them sticks, since they feel a little bit less annoying. Okay, otherwise you have to have all these things inside your view all the time. It's not that good. So let me actually open names too for my rig. Okay, spine BIP 01 spine and bone. Now of course I should have probably changed the names a bit, do something better, but I really do not care that much. Okay, and this is basically a test model, which I or a base model if you will, which I just go and animate stuff on over here and then put it into Unity, duplicate those animations and then use them wherever else I want. Now, since I've already painted some weight for the first bone, I'm going to find it. Okay, this is the spine, it says bone and you probably won't be able to read it. Okay, and I'm going to click select. So this will return me all the vertices that have that belong into this vertex group. Now I'm going to hit remove. So now I do not have, when I click select and to any other vertex group I will select from over here, okay, there is no vertices or anywhere else, anything else assigned. So how I like to actually assign the vertices is go into, basically for the spine it's pretty easy. Okay, it's pretty clear where the difference, what vertices will be assigned to what bone. So what you can do is just go Alt Shift right click, select the vertices. Now since this over here is a little bit hard to see, I can just select all of them, select what we didn't select. Okay, and I think for this bone, let's just leave these ones for the pelvis bone. Okay, so I have selected all my vertices and I can go into my spine and say assign. Now keep in mind that since these vertices will be shared, well, not these ones but on the edge, they will be shared with the top bone, and we should also select these ones too. So as I was saying, since these vertices will be shared with the top bone, it's best to not really go at weight 1. So I usually go with weight 0.5, so you can think of this as an interpolation. So if it has to interpolate half from this bone and half from this bone, then it's going to look more smooth, or not exactly more smooth, so that the influences are the same. Now if there's only one bone assigned, then it's going to take it as the weight is 1. Okay, so it really doesn't matter that much, so you can go with 0.5. So I hit assign, and when I deselect all my vertices, I can go into my vertex groups and just as I did before, click select, and I can get all my vertices back. And this is a more cleaner way, and I think it's more intuitive to work this way. So what I can do is go select all the other vertices I want for my model. Now over here, since the shoulders are a bit tricky and topology plays a big role into your mesh and how it's going to be skinned, so I'll try to get I think I'm going to, let's just use this one to get the shoulders. So you basically just need something like this. Okay, and leave this part and this part for the for the shoulders, for the clavicles in my case, and from the back, and I think this up to here, or you can go since the back is over here. Now in real humans, the top part, usually you see sometimes that they add another bone over here, so they split the spine in three bones, but if you study anatomy you will see that the top part where you have your ribs and all that, it actually doesn't rotate, and it only rotates a few parts of your actual spine. So anyway, enough with that. Okay, something like this will pretty much will do for now, and I have some rogue vertex over here, so we're not going to worry about. So okay, so I've selected the vertex I want for my top bone for the spine, so let's take this one too. I can simply go and say on my bone assign weight, and now when I rotate in, you will see that we also need to fix a bit of stuff over here. So what we can actually do right now is go into weight paint and start changing the influences over here. So I can change the weight, change it to subtract, and start affecting the influences, or we might want to add if we want. Okay, you might want to add a bit more, but as you can see, if you miss one vertex, sometimes it might hide inside another vertex, so that gets a lot of annoying to fix. And you can come and then start placing more influences for both of your bones, all of your bones, like this, and until you get something that looks of course better. And if you set auto normalize, will pretty much makes it so that you normalize your vectors, your weight paint. Okay, and we can fix the influences like that. Instead of having to paint all the model, we can just go and add a few more touches. So for weight painting, I find this is a far better solution. Instead of going and painting one by one, you simply go into edit mode and select. Now let me reset the position of the model, and you simply select all the vertices you want to weight paint and assign them on the vertex groups. Now, one extra tip that I recently learned is if you want to place a bone underneath a mesh, okay, because sometimes when you are in edit mode and the bones might be like that and it's a weird angle or whatever. Okay, let me change this one, and the bones is on a weird angle and it's not on. Okay, it's kind of difficult to fix like that. What you can simply do to actually place now this one has a keyframe, so that's why it gets. I'll change this to location. So if I want to fix that, to fix the actual bone on edit mode, what I can do is go into the mesh I want to place it, identify two vertices that are against that are on the that are basically two vertices. I want to place my bone over here, and you can select one vertex from one side and the other from the other side, and if you click shift select, you can place not selection to cursor, you can place cursor to select it. So when I go now into edit mode, I can say find my bone and say selection to cursor, and you will see that it will take your bone and assign its head where we actually have placed the actual 3D cursor. And because I selected all my bone and I only want the head, it placed all the and scaled down the bone. Okay, some funny things Blender does from time to time, or pretty much all the time. Okay, selection to cursor like that. So I can go into the finger over here, select here, selection cursor to selected, go over here and say selection to cursor and all that, and let's just place this one at the same position. Now in this case I can simply select just one, or let's select again two, selection not selection cursor to selected, and go over here and say selection to cursor, and it will place it where exactly you want it to be. Okay, so it's a bit easier than placing your bones around. Now, and I've just recently learned about this one, so I'll put a link with the source for this trick in the description, so check for that. So I'm basically just going to end this part of the video over here, and then go and rig it once more. Okay, and rig it to be nice, and finish with the hands and all that, and we will talk about creating an AK rig. So I'll see you on the next part.